Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Sanctuary. My name is Christian and I hope that you will join me in taking refuge in records. So I'm here today with part 5 of my Side 1 Track 1 Top 100 series, and we're going to be looking at the numbers today 60 to 51. So already getting to that halfway stage now with my 10-parter, which feels like a little bit of a bit of a milestone. So to everybody who has tuned in to me to date, I really appreciate all your time and attention, and for all the comments which have been posted onto the videos, and also for everybody who's taken part in putting their own top 100 together as well. Not an easy thing to do, but it looks like people have been really enjoying it, and it's been giving viewers a bit of food for thought in terms of how they would rank their own top 100, and maybe even reconnecting with a few old favourites as well, maybe playing songs again, opening tracks on studio albums that maybe they've not heard for a long time, or maybe discovering new ones as well through the recommendations and rankings that other people have been putting together. So really appreciate all the work that's gone into it from people tuning in, and from my point of view, I have, as you know, enjoyed putting the top 100 together. So for anybody who is maybe joining us late here into the series, it's been going on for a while now, but I never make assumptions, that people have maybe, not tuned into me before or might not be aware of what I've been doing. Then I will put parts 1 to 4 of the series as links in the description box to this video that you're watching right now. And I would advise you to please go away and watch those videos, just in terms of getting a feel for what I've been doing. And also in part 1, I cover off all those important rules and conditions that I put on myself right at the very beginning as to how I would go about selecting tracks and that type of thing. So yeah, parts 1 to 4 will be available there for people to watch and catch up on. But let's now get into the business at hand. Let's get to part 5. Okay, so kicking us off then today, and we've got quite a nice selection of records, songs in this part of my top 100. We've got a couple from the 1980s, there's some 70s in there, and there's a healthy dose of 60s as well. So it appears to be, for me personally, the further that I'm moving up in my top 100, we're getting some more 1960s music coming in. So today then, at the very beginning here then of number 60, we have got a brilliant alternative rock tune from 1986. It's an absolutely stupendous song in my opinion. I really feel like it ought to have more exposure. I'm not really sure how well known it is. Certainly it'll have its fans because there will be fans of the group, but for me it's just up there as one of my favourite alternative rock songs of the 80s. One of those songs that I remember the first time I ever put it on, I was just completely blown away by it, and then immediately went back and played it again. And I think I did it a good 3 or 4 times after that as well, just to really let the brilliance of the song seep in, just for me to really absorb it. Excuse me. And it is the opening track on what I think is a really fine album. So the band in question are Throwing Muses, and this is indeed also called Throwing Muses. So it's their self-titled debut album, and they were signed to the 4AD label, helmed by Ivor Watts Russell, so US group. And the song in question is called Call Me. So that's what we're going to be talking about to start us with today, is Call Me. So I'll just check here and see if there's anything of interest to show inside. Yeah, there is. We've just got a nice inner there. You can see already there as well that it's got that very classic kind of 4AD design look to it. You can just see there from the way that it's been rendered. There we go. It's just all bits and pieces there. Got some thank yous there on the back there as well. Yeah, and just some personnel information. There we go. Yeah, they look like some lyrical snippets there as well. Okay, so why have I chosen Call Me, other than the fact that I mentioned I used the word stupendous, didn't I? So yeah, let's keep this held up. It's got something to look at other than me. So the reason I've picked it is just because it has one of my favourite ever change-ups in a song. Simple as that, really. That was one of the main reasons that I wanted to pick it in my top 100. there's a real kinetic energy, like it's quite a frenetic song, Call Me. It's very urgent. Kristin Hersh, who's handling lead vocals on it, she runs the gamut in terms of emotions, I would say, in the song. The lyrics are, I would say, quite abstract, quite complex in places, but also very much speaking of what I would say is almost quite like a bit of a fevered mind. And what I mean by that is I feel like there's a real sort of stream of emotions and complex feelings that are coming out in the lyrics. And I feel that perhaps when Kristin Hersh was putting that song together lyrically, that it was almost kind of pouring out of her from a lyrical standpoint. What I also think that the song does musically is the feelings in the lyrics are being matched by the energy that's in the music. So the music, I would say, is urgent. It's quite pounding. It's guitar led. There is a real sort of a mid-80s college rock sort of jangle going on to it. So, for people who are fans of, like I've mentioned, alternative guitar rock, as I, did in the introduction, said that's very much the genre that this inhabits. So, the likes of REM, Pixies, of course, who went on to be label mates of Throwing Muses. Throwing Muses were on the 4AD label before Pixies were. I just feel that type of appreciation for that music will definitely lend itself to people that would want to discover something fresh and new. In that realm, you're going to get something really, really satisfying out of this song. So the words, I would say, or the vocals, I should say, are delivered in a variety of different vocal stylings from Kristin Hersh. She mixes up her voice really effectively on the song. So there's parts of it that sound almost quite borderline, like on the edge in terms of her delivery. There's parts of it where she sounds quite powerful and quite confident. But then right at the very end of the track, where I mentioned this change up that I love, her voice suddenly becomes almost quite soothing and quite pleading as well. So, and that's the part of the song where she begins to repeat the phrase "Call Me," which is the title of the song. So yeah, that change up at the end is just so brilliantly done, and it really kind of flows the song into just this lovely, lovely jangle. It's a very simple chord, just arpeggiated, but the way in which that shift, in dynamics occurs. I mean, Pixies were always lauded, quite rightly, for their use of dynamics in music and how influential that went on to be. But Throwing Muses do a really fine job of that here as well. Maybe not quite as loud, quiet, the way the Pixies did, but certainly there is just such a significant change up that I can't help but always be impressed by it whenever I hear it. So if you're looking for really powerful female vocals with a voice that's expressing a lot of different type of emotions, with really solid alternative guitar rock underpinning it, with lyrics that are going to make you think and make you, contemplate what it is that Kristin is alluding to, then I really think that "Call Me" by Throwing Muses is a song to check out. I really, really do. I've got a lot of time for that song, and I do think that whilst Throwing Muses do have their fans, and they're very passionate about them, about the group, I just think that they should continue and should be an even bigger band than they are. And I know that they're very critically acclaimed within the music world, by fellow artists, etc. But yeah, they're a really special group to me, and they've had some brilliant offshoots as well. Members of, obviously Tanya Donnelly going on to being, the Breeders and Belly. There's other offshoots as well from the band, and Kristin has gone on to record and or do other work under her own name as well. So yeah, a great song to get us started there. "Call Me" by Throwing Muses. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that there, make sure that is filed and ready to go underneath. That's it. Okay, just make sure that isn't going to get crushed or anything. It's quite flimsy, that record. I need to take good care of that. It's an original pressing as well. Okay, so moving on then. So we've been in the mid-80s with that pick. We're now going into the very, very early 70s. This is a very, very different type of song to "Call Me." I do think there is quite a variety within this batch of 10 that I'm picking in the top 100. That was the way that they landed when I had the the task of ranking them all. So this one here is for all the guitar players out there, all the guitar appreciators out there, people that just love their extended guitar jamming, soloing. This one is for you lot. So I'm just going to hold up the record, and then I will obviously talk a little bit about the track. Okay. So coming up next, then got Funkadelic. There we go. Barbara Cheeseborough there, the cover model, head popping out the earth there. The album is Maggot Brain, and the song is called Maggot Brain as well. That's the opening track on the album. Okay, so before I start talking about the song Maggot Brain, you can have a little look at the cover art there. Maybe for anybody who's not seen this album before, absolutely superb album. I love Funkadelic. This is, just sight rock, funk. It's got acid sort of tinge to it as well. It's experimental. It's got incredible grooves going to it. But yeah, I'll do what I always say I'll do with my series, and rather than being tempted to start going into the wider album, I'll stick just to the opening songs. I do need to rein myself every now and again. For people who watch me regularly, they know that I need to give myself a word every now and again and keep on track. Okay, so Maggot Brain. Right, where do we start with Maggot Brain? It's a unique song. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that could be, I suppose, a description for any song, couldn't it? But this one is unique. So what we've got is a very extended guitar solo, an improvised solo by Eddie Hazel, who was the guitarist at this time in Funkadelic. So the story goes that George Clinton, the leader of Funkadelic, and I believe that Eddie Hazel was under the influence of LSD, was instructed by George Clinton to play a guitar part under the premise, or under the I suppose the influence emotionally of having found out that his mother had passed away. So that I believe is the kind of the foundation of the song. So this was something that George Clinton had clearly said to get some kind of, well, certainly get some kind of reaction out of Eddie Hazel in terms of how he would approach this guitar part, this piece that we go on to listen to, which goes on for I think it's well over 10 minutes. So it's incredible. It's as simple as that. It is an unbelievable piece of playing. It astonishes me every time I listen to it. So the track starts with a spoken word piece, which is very memorable in relation to Mother Earth. I won't recite that. That part's done by George Clinton, but please do listen to the track. You'll hear that part. That kind of sets the scene for the track, and then it's Eddie's showcase. This song is all about the sheer brilliance of Eddie Hazel. So Jimi Hendrix was a big influence on Eddie Hazel. So you can hear a lot of Hendrix-isms, Hendrix influence in the tone of the guitar playing, in the style. But my word, the technique on display is just something else. And given the fact that, as I say, the story goes that he was playing under the influence, then that for me makes the achievement, the accomplishment of what he puts down on tape even more incredible. It's just a song that needs to be heard. It's very beautiful. It's very emotive. Obviously, playing under that instruction, that very, very emotionally disturbing instruction, really, to sort of be telling somebody that you need to play as if you've just found out that utterly devastating piece of news in order to sort of, extract this feel. He just measures up to that in all ways that you could imagine. So the playing at turns is, there is some aggression to it in places. You can almost feel that outpouring of emotion through his work. Through the strings and the tone of the guitar. But then there's other passages within the piece where, again, as I said, it goes in lots of different directions, and it really is just the sound of a person just pouring their soul, their passion for not only guitar playing but also this sense of loss, this sense of grief that they've been influenced to try and articulate. It's just something really, really quite special and quite magical. And as an opening track on an album, it's just so unique. It really, really is. And it goes on to obviously spearhead a wonderful album in its own right. That goes without saying. But Maggot Brain is just something to behold. It really is. And as I mentioned, if you're an appreciator of virtuosic guitar playing, if you're a person that just wants to hear something that is different, that's going to challenge you in some ways as well, and move you, it's a moving piece of music, then please do listen to that song. Okay. So we could not get any further away now from Maggot Brain, I think, for, well, the duration of the video, to be honest. I mean, that one is arguably, that's probably, amongst the most unique songs in the top 100 as a whole, just because, again, the circumstances of the recording and the fact that it's just this kind of, spotlight on the guitar player. Yeah, really quite extraordinary. But let's move on from that. So we're now moving into the mid 1990s, so we're moving into a period of my life here where I've mentioned it on the channel before that music was everything. I know that music remains everything for all of us fanatics out there, but when you're in your early teens and you're absorbing music just from all over, and your life isn't quite as full, let's just say, until you get a little bit older, and music and these groups that I was discovering in the early 90s, mid 90s, this was my time living through it. These groups were bringing out new material, and it just felt so exciting and special. And I knew that this band would be in 100, not just because they're a favourite, because I haven't played favourites with my top 100. As I mentioned before, there'll be a lot of quite, I think, surprising omissions for people who've tuned into me regularly and know my taste. I have done it purely off what I think are the quality of the opening tracks. But this group I knew would be in because they've got a lot, for me, they've got some very strong opening songs on albums. But it was just a case of which one I'd choose and where it was going to be ranked. So I made my decision. I love the fact that there is a real sense of outsiderdom to what I'm doing, and what I'm doing with what I'm feeling is what I should say. There is a sense of the lyrics, I just feel, were really, really powerful with this one, and I wanted to have the opportunity to talk about it within the series. So the album is Different Class, the band is Pulp, and the song is Misshapes. Okay, there we go. What a song. So Misshapes, mistakes, misfits, raised on a diet of broken biscuits. So yeah, for anyone who's not listened to Misshapes, it's an absolute cracker of a song. It's got a real energy to it, very propulsive. This is an album that I feel, I mean, that this for me is Pulp's masterpiece. This for me is a nigh on perfect album. I feel that they were channeling a lot of Roxy music in their musical representation at this stage in the career. They'd done it previously, but I really feel that art rock sort of glam influence was very prevalent in the grooves of Different Class. Misshapes captures that art rock sort of glam feel perfectly. So the lyrics are, as I've alluded to, it is singing about people on the outside. It's singing almost, it's very triumphant in that it's like a bit of an anti-anthem, really. I would say, in that it is call to arms for those people in life that are maybe misunderstood, as it says, that they are misshapes or misfits, people that don't really adhere or conform to the status quo, maybe people that are seen as being, a little bit strange, a little bit weird, maybe don't fit into society in perhaps the way that other people would more comfortably expect them to fit in. But it's those people that, for me personally, I think are the heroes, and that's just my opinion. In life, I really feel that I've had the luxury of meeting a lot of types of people through the career that I've had being a professional journalist, and I've always gravitated and been very fascinated towards people who by turns would probably be deemed by larger societies being eccentric or idiosyncratic or whatever word you want to use. And I just feel that that song and this song is a real celebration of those people who have those differences. We need lots of different people in the world to make the world what it is. It's the old adage, isn't it, that if we were all the same, then the world would be pretty dull, a pretty dull place and quite predictable. And I think having people in the world who shake things up a bit, keep things interesting, I think is very important. So I'll just show the inside of the album here as well, because I'm just conscious I didn't show that. So there we go. Just in case anybody's not seen this pressing of the record, there we go. Some great photographs of the band there as well. Those cutouts there. There we go. Hopefully you can see them okay. There we go. And the lyrics by Jarvis Cocker, the leader of Pulp, are really on point in Misshapes. Some great turns of phrase in there. When he's singing about the fact that, these people who are finally going to make a stand against their tormentors, really, if you could argue, maybe people who they feel societally have perhaps bullied them or for too long have tried to push them down or keep them quiet. There's a real call to action, saying like we won't use guns, we won't use bombs. So we're not going to use we're not advocates for violence. We'll use the one thing we've got more of, and that's our minds. So it's very much talking about how people can prevail and succeed with the strength of their own intelligence, maybe their own sense of self. It's about rising up. I've just always felt that as a song, there's just a real sort of a pumping energy to it, and something that whenever I hear it, it does take me back to a certain time in my life. The very first time I discovered the album, upon its release, I got it. I think got it the day it came out on cassette. From like my local branch of Woolworths. Ended up getting this repressed vinyl copy many years later. So yeah, it's just one of those songs that kicks off such a wonderful album. As I said, Jarvis's voice throughout sounds strong. It's powerful. The band, again, very similar with Throwing Muses. The band musically are matching the energy that's being conveyed in the lyrics, which I think is always important. There's no disconnect between what the power of the lyrics are trying to achieve with the musical side letting it down in some way. It's quite frenetic, and there's just some great sound effects in there as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a blood pumper. On the Quiet is Misshaped. So yeah, definitely had to be in there, and I'm really glad I got the chance to talk about that one. Okay, so we're moving into the 1960s now for my next choice, and I'm just going to say one word here, and I'm wondering how many people will instantly guess what song I'm going to talk about. So the word is ocarina. I'd like to think, or at least I'm under the impression, that this might be one of the most famous songs, if not the most famous song of all time, that features an ocarina on it. There might be people that disagree with that, but I do think this song would have to be up there, given what a huge smash hit song it was. So people maybe will already know and have guessed it. Other people might be wondering what an ocarina is. If you are, it's a wind instrument, and it was used to classic effect on this next song. So the song in question is Wild Thing. The band is the Troggs, and the album is called From Nowhere. There we go. From Nowhere by the Troggs, with Ronnie, Chris, Pete and Reg Trogg all listed there on the back. So yeah, Wild Thing. You make my heart sing, you make everything groovy. So yeah, it's a groovy song. That ocarina part in it really does set it apart in terms of memorability. It's a very classic 60s rocker insofar as that I feel it's got like a real kind of a garage rock sound to it. Very, very simple chord progression, kind of in the vein of a Louie Louie, for instance, made extremely famous by, the Kingsman version. I mean, that song has been played and covered by so many other groups. And the Kingsman version, from the garage rock perspective, I would say is the definitive version. So Wild Thing is just one of those songs that it's just so memorable. It really, really is. Very simple lyrically, but it does the business. It does the job. I've never ever tired of hearing it, and that would attest to why I've got it so high up in the top 100. It's just a song that has got a real swagger to it, a confidence to it. The vocals in places are almost kind of like growled a little bit. Like there's a lot of character in the vocal delivery, which I've always really resonated with as well. So a short and sweet summary, I think, and commentary on that one for what is a short and pretty damn sweet song. It's just a great, great song, that one. Wild Thing by the Trogs. Okay, so we're staying in the 1960s now for, wow, the next three picks in my top 100 of this section of the top 100, I should say. So this album now is my favourite album by this band. This is another amazing opening track, although say that about all of them, couldn't I? That's why they're here. That's why they made it into the 100 out of all the over a fact, like, what's it, 1,500 songs that were in contention to pick from, or thereabouts anyway. There was a lot to choose from. Maybe not that many, but there was certainly over 1,000 studio albums in my collection, so I had a lot to choose from. So this one here, again, super memorable. It's got a great feel to it. There's a real confidence and groove to it. Very 60s sounding, very of its time, but just a brilliant, brilliant song. We've got the Beatles. The album is Revolver, and the opening track, of course, is Taxman. There we go, Taxman. So yeah, my favourite Beatles album. That's just an aside. We're not talking about albums today. But yeah, George Harrison penned song, Mr. Harrison, Taxman. So kind of makes reference to that sort of, with the way that the way the word Taxman sang like Batman, from the TV series. Brilliant bass work on it. I mean, gosh, that bass line is one of my favourite ever Beatles bass lines, full stop. I love the guitar work in it. There's a bit of a snarl to the guitar. It's got like a little bit of, I suppose the best word to describe it is like a bit of a wonky sort of guitar solo in it that just fits really perfectly. I love the fact that it's just very satirical. It's humorous. It's obviously poking fun at the Taxman. It's very dry and sardonic. The fact that we're all victims of the Taxman. Talking about taxing your feet and that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody tuning in has heard Taxman at some point. But if you haven't, then please do check it out. Yeah, there's a real bounce to it, and there's just a great, great line in there that always makes me smile when he sings. George, he sings about declare the pennies on your eyes, which is like a nod to the ferryman, Charon, on the River Styx in Greek mythology, where in order to pay the ferryman to ensure safe passage over the River Styx into the underworld, you had to lay pennies on the eyes, of the body kind of moving through into the next world. So the fact that they managed to weave into the song, that the Taxman would even, that you'd have to declare that money to the Taxman, does always make me laugh as well. I think it's a very, very clever line, that one. Anything that weaves in a bit of Greek mythology, you've got to applaud that a little bit, and other types of mythology as well. I mean, the ferryman has appeared in other forms of mythology too, but I just associate it in my own mind with Charon and the River Styx. So Yeah, it's just one of those songs, you know. It's just got such an appeal to it. It's very timeless, you know, given it was from the the mid 60s period. It continues to resonate. I think the theme of it, and I do think it is one of George Harrison's best Beatles songs, and it's just got a really lovely performance by the entire band on it as well. I just love that it's got that kind of rock swagger to it. So yeah, Taxman is my next pick for my top 100. Okay. So let's see how many we've got left. And I feel like I've moved through these quite quickly today. So we've got one, two, three. Yeah, I always subconsciously do that. I've got a bit into the habit now. I mean, I should have done given how many parts I've done of always having a bit of a natural break when I've worked through five songs in any given part. So yeah, there's five left to talk through there. So at this point of proceedings of this video, I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. If you're still with me and you're enjoying what I'm saying today, then please do give me a thumbs up on the video. Please do comment as well. Let me know what you thought of my picks in this part so far. Share with me what you would have at this stage of your top 100. So just as a polite reminder, we're looking at 60 up to 51. So the last song I'll be talking about today here will be number 51, and then we'll be getting into that top 50 onward then for the remaining five parts that I've got of my series. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to people for being here and for giving me your time and attention. I really do appreciate it, and it really does mean a lot. Okay, so we're staying in the 60s. And we're staying, going over now to the US. We've been there in the UK with the Beatles. Going over now to a band that you could say for a time were kind of, in a bit of a healthy competition with the Beatles. A bit of a rivalry there going on between, these genius songwriters and producers and that sort of stuff. It's like you bring an album out, right? I'll bring one out, try and top it, influencing each other. But this album here, of course, and I mean Revolver is just on another level for me completely. But this album here is a masterpiece, and the amount of work, sheer work that goes into this opening song, given its duration, is quite remarkable. So let's move on to the next pick. So I'm now going to be talking about Wouldn't It Be Nice, and the album is Pet Sounds, and of course the band is the Beach Boys. So we've had Taxman there with the Beatles, we're now going over to the Beach Boys. Wouldn't It Be Nice? So yeah, the reason that I love this song so much, I mean, it's very different. I mean, Taxman by contrast, I mean, is a pretty stripped back affair. It's quite primal. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's got more in common with Wild Thing by the Trogs from a musical and mood perspective than it would something like Wouldn't It Be Nice? Because Wouldn't It Be Nice is a triumph of it's symphonic rock to me, and it's just got so many amazing components to it, in terms of there is just so much going on when you're listening. The ear is picking out even now when I put it on. There's just all these little tiny intricacies and nuances that come into focus. So every time I listen to it, I kind of try to zone in on a different part of the song, and in order to do that, you just have to be, you do have to be listening intently, which I think was very much Brian Wilson's and the rest of the band's, intention is to really be listening to what's unfolding within the track. But it's just the choice of instrumentation, it's the composition itself. I love the actual theme of the song. It's got like a real sort of, there is like a celebratory feel to it, but in a sense. But what I mean by that is it's celebrating life. It's quite life affirming, and I think it's also serves as a reminder of how important it is to hold on to the things that are dear to you. I mean, some people might read it differently, but when he's singing about getting older, which is referenced in the first line, and he's talking about how life could be, talking about getting married and that sort of thing. I just feel like it's almost trying to map out how things could be, and almost leaning into that in a positive way, and just kind of letting it unfold, and and letting life and nature take its course to some degree. That's just how I've always kind of interpreted it. I'm sure there's other themes that play for other people as well, but I'm just sharing with you what I take from the song. So lyrically, it does a lot for me, and musically, it does everything for me. Quite honestly, there's just these beautiful passages where even now, from a production point of view and just from a decision making point of view, it just amazes me, to be quite honest. So, and again, within the duration of the track that the band are operating within to fit so much into it, and for Brian Wilson to produce it and present it in the way that he did, I just think it's a real tour de force of songwriting and an incredible way to open up an album, which then does go on to very much deliver on that promise that Wouldn't It Be Nice sets into motion. So yeah, great song, amazing song in fact. So please do give that one a listen. If you're new to the Beach Boys, or if you're an old fan, then please just give it another listen sooner rather than later, in celebration of me choosing it in the top 100. You know, I've tried to put some positivity out there for the track, you know, because I think sometimes it's lovely when I do videos like this just to reconnect with old favourites. You know, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we maybe need a bit of a reason or just a reminder to go back and listen to something. So that was my reminder there to people to, you know, go and stick the Beach Boys on and give it a listen and really enjoy it and appreciate it for what it is, which is just an absolute masterpiece of pop songwriting. Okay, so let's move on to this next track. So still in the 1960s here, just about. I think this came out in 1969. Lyrically, again, yeah, I do feel that the lyrics with these choices in this batch are really quite. I think they really hit home hard. You know, I mean, I've mentioned it many times before that I am a person that really does pay attention to my lyrics. I put a lot of emphasis on lyrics and what, you know, songwriters are trying to convey. But I do think in this list in particular, some of the lyrics I find particularly intriguing and very compelling. Quite straightforward in places as well. You know, maybe not quite as obscure or maybe complex as the Throwing Muses example. Some of these other songs with the lyrical themes are much more straightforward. But this song here now, then, from 1969, the band is Sly and the Family Stone. The album is Stand, and the song is called Stand. So yeah, we've got another self-titled album track there, like we had with Maggot Brain before as well. So yeah, there's definitely something to show here because this is a gatefold. I always show my gatefolds off in full whenever I have a gatefold album to show on the Vinyl Sanctuary. So yeah, some great photographs of the group there. There's Sly there. Okay, so I'll show you the back first. A picture of him there when he was a lot younger. There he is. His caption, Sly. And then inside, I've got pictures of Freddie Rose, obviously the amazing Larry Graham on bass, got Cynthia, Greg, and Jerry as well. Okay, there we are. See if we can fit all those in. Hold it up there for a moment and you can check that out. So this is a really lovely repressing. This is on Music on Vinyl. And it sounds great. Really good. Very happy with the pressing. And yeah, lyrically, it's just, I mean, I can even read a little bit of this one. Stand in the end, you'll still be you. One that's done all the things you set out to do. Stand. That's the repeat of the title all the way through, which is just brilliantly done. The way they sing Stand throughout the song is fantastic. There's a cross for you to bear, things to go through if you're going anywhere. So for me, the song again, I feel it is very triumphant and celebratory. So you know, when I was talking about Misshapes earlier, and it's kind of this celebration of outsiderdom and, you know, embracing your differences, making a stand. This again, very well, I would say similar in that respect. This isn't necessarily, you know, singing from the point of view of an outsider, but it's definitely for me another call to action of, you know, be proud, stand up and be tall, lean into what it is that you want to achieve. there's a real sense of optimism to it, I feel. I think there is something about it that's very uplifting. The music is just this fantastic kind of soul funk groove to it. There's a great part towards the end of it where, again, a bit of a dynamic shift where it just kind of breaks into a whole kind of different composition for a moment, but it just segues into it quite beautifully. You know, the pattern, I mean, it's still the same song, but it just kind of breaks away from the standard chord sequence and pattern that the verses and things prior to it set down, you know, lay down the template of. So the song in that regard has just got a lovely mix up, and again, it packs a lot into a relatively short space of time. Quite a few of the songs here in this part have got potency, but they're quite short in their runtime. I mean, Maggot Brain excluded. I mean, that's a magnum opus. That one goes on for many minutes, but that one's just a journey in itself. But there's other songs here talked about, you know, Wild Thing, Taxman. You know, Call Me is a relatively short song. Stand Here is short, shortish. You know, by sort of common standards. Um, that you know that they're getting a lot into a relatively diminutive package, and I think that's always really really admirable. And I just feel that the band performance on it, you know, the groove is tight, the playing is superb, it sounds great, it just kind of comes straight out the speakers. You know, it's got that little drum part right at the very beginning, and then it's like stand, it's just there, you know, kind of blaring at you in the best possible way. So yeah, that this is a tune that I do turn up, and I really do groove along to this one. I get a lot of enjoyment from listening to that one. So that's my next choice. Stand by the brilliant Sly and the Family Stone. Okay. Okay, so moving on. We are now going into I think this one's the late 1970s. This one's 78 or 79, is it this one? From memory? Uh, yeah, 1979. Yeah, I was correct on that one. I thought it was 79, but it's always good to double check. So yeah, getting some late 70s in here now, which for a lot of people who know me and tune in to me, you know, this is an era of music that I do especially love. So just as a quick aside, got brilliant memories of watching this band live, the one and only time that I ever got to watch them. Did a reunion tour with all three original members back in 2008, and I saw them in Cardiff at the Millennium Stadium. An amazing concert. They actually opened up the gig with this song, which is the opening track on this album. So the band I'm talking about is the one and only The Police. The album is Regatta de Blanc, and the song is, of course, Message in a Bottle, which is by far one of the Police's most iconic songs. It truly, truly is. So we've got, of course, Andy Summers here, guitar extraordinaire, Sting on bass and vocals, or lead vocals, because Stuart Copeland does sing a track on this album. Got Stuart Copeland there on the drums. Just a brilliant trio. Fantastic musicians, you know, great exponents of that sort of pop, new wave, rock, reggae sort of fusion, that mix that they did ever so well with absolutely global, massively global appeal as well. So yeah, Message in a Bottle. So why do I love that song so much as an opening track? Well, it's got one of my favourite guitar parts in it by Andy Summers, and this is a chap who certainly knows how to write a guitar part. The riff that you know that kicks off the song is just utterly memorable. It repeats pretty much all the way through the song in terms of the verses. Then it mixes itself up with a little bit of almost like a bit of a punky chug to the you know, I'll send an SOS to the world break, then into the chorus, you know, I hope someone gets my message in a bottle. Then it kind of goes into a bit of a spacey kind of feel with the guitar parts, just these very sort of beautifully struck flange kind of guitar chords. And then when it's the verses again, he just goes back into that riff. Just a superb composition. Bass work throughout is amazing, as you'd expect. You know, Sting is one hell of a bass player. And then you've got some awesome percussion work and drumming on it by Stuart Copeland. Knows when to kind of inject the energy into the song, and then he knows when to hold back. just to again give you that appreciation of dynamics. So in the verses, the drumming is a little bit more, it's very expressive but more subtle, and then during other parts of the song where it's required for the I'll send an SOS to the world, you get a bit more power coming through. So just brilliant songcraft, great songwriting. So yeah, from a lyrical standpoint, I feel it's a song that explores quite I'd say evidently through the whole message in a bottle motif, the theme that it's a person experiencing loneliness, isolation, a person reaching out for connection. So whether or not Sting was maybe using the message in a bottle as like a theme to convey maybe some sort of loneliness that he was feeling in his own life at that time. I don't think he was stranded on a desert island at any point. I might be wrong about that. But I feel that he is definitely trying to tell a story there that he's sending out an SOS. He's in distress. He's looking for some kind of hope or salvation or someone or something to rescue him. Maybe there's like an emotional journey that he needs to embark upon to get to where he wants to get to. So the lyrics have always kind of kept me intrigued in that regard. Just for like a pop rock song that that did phenomenally well. I do think that there is some real depth and nuance to it, both lyrically and musically. And I'm always there for songs like that. Songs that, present very, very well commercially and can be, hummed along to when it's on the radio, or the milkman can whistle along to it. But then when you go a little bit deeper, there is more to kind of be appreciated and maybe more to digest and pore over. I do think that's a great example of that. So Message in a Bottle by The Police. Okay, so 2 songs left, and then we'll have done 60 to 51. So this song here, now this artist has got, wow, well, one of my favourite artists of all time, and a lot of truly superb opening tracks. So when I was putting the top 100 together, it was so difficult to decide which opening track by this artist I would go with. I would completely understand if people are following my rule of only one song per artist or band, that they would choose a different song to this one. I totally would get that, and they would rank it differently to me. But the reason I've gone for this one is just because it does again take me back to childhood. So there is some emotional connection to it, which I do think plays a big part when you're creating these types of lists and things, and when it's coming down to fine margins of which song is going to make it into the final cut and which doesn't. Other things start to come into play ahead of just the fact that it's a good song. It could be an emotional thing, it could be a nostalgic thing, it could have resonance for one reason or another. This is one of those songs that when I play it and hear it, it takes me right back to childhood. I've got very vivid memories of hearing it at one of my very earliest birthday parties. So this song came out in 1983. I was born in 82, so I think I might have heard this song maybe like, when I was 6 or 7 at one of my sort of earlier birthday parties, but the song had been out for a good sort of 4 or 5 years or whatever it would have been by that point. So I don't know whether it would have been on the radio or whether mum had it on a tape or something like that and had just played it as part of the music in the background while I was having a party. But I do have really vivid memories of hearing it when I was very young. I think we were playing Pass the Parcel or something like that, and this song would have been playing at that point, which I always find a little bit surreal. But that I was like doing some party game, but this song was on. But musically, it's how would you describe it before I start talking about it and even revealing what it is? It's soul rock, really. It's got a real soul to it, soul influences, but it's got a rock new wave edge. The instrumentation and production is very much of its time, but I just think it's one of the best songs that this artist did. I am going to go out on a limb and say that, and that's why it's here. So the artist I'm talking about is the one, the only Mr. David Bowie. The song is Modern Love, and the album is Let's Dance. So yeah, I absolutely love Modern Love. I really do. I do very much believe in Modern Love. The lyrics throughout in Modern Love, is Bowie singing that he doesn't believe in modern love. It's yeah, lyrically again, I think it's a song where he seems to be questioning his belief in faith and religion, and this whole thing is, I don't believe in modern love. Is that some sort of reference to the fact that he was maybe pining or advocating for the old ways? Was he trying to maybe articulate or express that he thought romance or the way that love was being conveyed in that time was maybe not dead but different? Again, just my musings on it in the moment, talking off the top of my head. Might sound like I'm rambling a lot, but I'm just talking in the moment as I always do. So I'd be interested to get other people's perspectives on the lyrics of Modern Love, but there is very, very much a religious church, there's a church theme going on to the lyrics, very obvious. Um, and almost like a mistrust of it as well, is what I take from it. Um, it's like we've had songs there about being celebratory and standing up for your rights, a song like Stand or Misshapes, where it seems to be almost like a bit of a call to action and to be empowered. This one to me sounds like a song that is questioning things, and the music is very upbeat. The music is irresistible. It's got like a real swing and a groove and a swagger to it. I love the drum work on it. The production's by Nile Rodgers of Chic. Bowie himself, vocally, I mean, Bowie has had some tremendous vocal performances throughout his career. I love his vocals on Modern Love. Um, Love that piano part and the ding ding, very simple the way it starts off during Bowie's spoken word bit. There's great use of saxophone throughout it as well. It's just a real banger of a song for me from the early '80s. But again, as I mentioned, it's very hard to choose a standalone Bowie opening track. But for the purpose of my 100, given there was others I could have picked, I'm really happy that I chose Modern Love, and placing it at number 52 in my top 100 is testament to how highly I rate the song itself. I've got it over a lot of other songs in this list, so um, well, yeah, 50 50 odd songs to be no 40 odd songs to be precise. Yeah, I had to do me maths there, didn't I? But yeah, I just really, really do love the song, and it's one that I just don't grow tired of listening to. Um, and I think when you have a song like that in your heart and in your life, it's really important to keep championing it and keep listening to it, keep engaging with it. Just enjoy it for what it is. It's just a really good, strong pop rock song for me. That, and one of an opening song on an album that has got three absolute killer, three opening tracks on it, just absolutely amazing on that album, on Let's Dance. So that was Modern Love by David Bowie. Okay, so finishing us off then for this part. Um, and again, thank you for bearing with me, everyone. I do feel like I've had a bit of a ramble on this video, even by my own standards. So thank you for bearing with any stream of consciousness or any moments where you were thinking, where's he going here with that? I do appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, this singer here possesses one of my favorite ever singing voices. He's my favorite singer well, he's one of my favorite singers of all time, without any question. But in the genre, in soul music, which he inhabited. I mean, obviously, we crossed into other territories, but to some degree, there is crossover into pop and things as well. But he's my favorite ever soul singer. I've got my favorite ever rock singer. And this guy, just a song that was just a gift from God, in my opinion. No other voice like it. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful, stunning voice. Could sing anything, and had had a performance here on a song that I think really came from the heart, and again, a very, very powerful message to it. So we're now talking about Marvin Gaye. The album is What's Going On, and the song is What's Going On. So yeah, we've got another song here that's sharing its title with the album in question, along with like Stand and Maggot Brain as well. So yeah, What's Going On, an unbelievable album. This one for me is like a Sunday afternoon listen, Sunday morning listen. Gorgeous, gorgeous album, this one. So let's just hold it up. I've always loved the artwork on it. Let's hold it back there a bit. Try and see if I can do it justice here. There we go. Okay, see if you can see that a bit. There we are. Hopefully I'm doing a good job of that. And then we've got the back as well. There we go. Just walking along in the rain there in that fantastic coat. It really is. Do love that coat. Collar on that. Very, very smart. Smart looking there. And the tie as well. There we go. Great photograph. And it's an absolutely beautiful song. What's going on? So yeah, I mean, the clock's in at 4 minutes. And it is just, it's soul perfection for me. It's a song that again, yeah, it's another kind of like addressing the state of things. It's very socially aware, socially conscious. There's I think it was talking about at the time, war in the world, and calling for that. It is stating the question, what's going on. There's parts of the song where I feel like he's singing almost like in almost like an angry way, because he's so at odds with what's going on, with what's happening around him, that he probably felt powerless to do anything about. But then being able to express his concerns through song, and obviously the status of Marvin Gaye, the appeal, the reach that he had. If there was anybody who could maybe try to put something out there into the world that would be heard and maybe listened to, it would be someone who can make a statement like that. So yeah, I think there's like concerns with war, family, I would say, environmental concerns as well, which get explored further on in the album on a Mercy Mercy Me, which closes side one of the album off. But again, conscious not talking about the wider albums, want to keep on the opening tracks. So yeah, I do think at turns his voice does just run a gamut of emotions, in only a way that Marvin Gaye could perform. The power is there throughout. The way that his voice can soar, the way that there's times where when his voice goes slightly into more of a falsetto range, there's like a sweetness to it. But then when he's bringing the voice down and going a little bit into a lower register, there's like a real grit and substance to the voice as well. So I think what makes the song so powerful is the way in which he very deftly selects the sort of singing that he wants to perform, the style and the vocal range, to almost soften it in places where he feels it needs to be a bit softer, but then bringing in that harder, tougher call to action on the parts that matter. So certainly when he's singing What's Going On, the line of the title, there's almost like a real sense of urgency and like pleading to that delivery in places, and the way that it's repeated over and over again throughout makes it more powerful as well. It makes it a statement, it makes it a bit of a mantra, designed, I'm sure, to make people literally sit up and take notice of what's going on around them, and take notice of the song itself as well. So it is just a majestic song. It really, really is. I again, whenever I put it on, I feel kind of swept up in it. It's a song that I very much focus and owning on all my attention, and I just want it to speak to me in the way that I feel that it does. I think it's just got something really powerful about it all these years on. I think this came out in 70, was it 71? I think it was 71, wasn't it? What's Going On? Pretty sure it was, yeah, it's 71. So, all these years later, to still have that power that it does, that potency, is something to really be admired, and something to be celebrated. So I think that's a good note to complete this video on, with Marvin Gaye and What's Going On. There's themes in there that do continue to be relevant to this very day, and I do think it's important that we do take time out to listen to songs like that. songs of protest and songs of just trying to make people think about things perhaps on a deeper level than maybe sometimes they would, or just trying to get a message out there to really pay attention and to start thinking about what's going on. Simple as that. Okay, so that's me done then for this part, for part 5. Again, thank you very much indeed for being here. I really, really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed what I've done here in the Vinyl Sanctuary with this part of the series, as I mentioned before, I would be really grateful if you could please put a like on the video. What would be even more helpful, and again greatly appreciated by myself, is that if you're new to my channel, then please do consider subscribing. I'm still continuing to grow the channel. At the time of recording, I've got 460 subscribers, which I'm absolutely over the moon about, and I'm now pushing towards hitting what would be a very significant milestone for me of 500 subscribers. So that's the trajectory that I'm currently on. So if you do want to be a supporter of the channel by subscribing to me, then that would be massively appreciated. And if you do make that decision to subscribe, then please don't forget to hit the notification bell, and that will ensure that you get all of your alerts and things as to when I've next got a video landing. So for the time being, I'm going to be continuing to work through my top 100. There are other things that I've acquired in the record collection whilst I've been undertaking the series. I did in fact even get a job a lot while I've been doing these series, but my focus for now is just to continue to keep working through the 100 rather than breaking off to record non-related videos. They can wait for another time. They're not time sensitive or anything like that, so I can just go back to those other videos as and when the top 100 is completed, and then I'll start thinking about ideas for forthcoming videos. So if you would like to share in the comments what you thought of my picks, let me know what you would be choosing at this stage of your top 100. So again, we're looking at 60 to 51. Please share your picks with me. I love discovering new tunes because I've discovered a lot of brilliant songs through people who've been kind enough to get involved in playing along. I always enjoy the comments and the conversations that I enter into when I'm reading through what people have to say. And what I found particularly lovely and enjoyable of late is that people within the comments are having their own conversations as well, which really, really does make me so happy whenever I see people doing that. It's just lovely to look at people or observe people connecting and sharing their passion for music with other people. For me, it brings people together, and it's a great chance for us all to share our knowledge and passion for the love of music that we all have. Okay then, so I'm all done and dusted now. Until next time, take care and bye for now.